Welcome to Mitten Music.
Season 4, Raw, Live, and Authentic. Episode 3, DuPont Phillips, with Chris DuPont and Kylee Phillips. All right, so today we've got Kylee Phillips and Chris DuPont, or DuPont Phillips, depending on the night,
the
right?
day,
The
yeah,
day, yeah,
exactly.
how the music goes. So, singer-songwriters, excited to have you guys here today.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We're really happy to be here.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So this is a good early question. For some reason, I thought, there's a little ignorance here. I thought you guys were both from Grand Rapids. But there's maybe half of you is from Grand Rapids and the other one isn't. I would have guessed the opposite of, for some reason I thought Kylee was from Grand Rapids and Chris was from the other side of the state. But that's not true, is it?
It's not. Is that because Kylie's so wholesome?
Honestly, I have a dumb answer for this.
Oh, I can't
I
wait.
can't wait.
It's because I saw her featured on Kyle Joe's song, and I'm like, well, of course
Oh,
she's
yeah.
from Grand Rapids.
Oh,
She
And
must be the West
it was like a
Michigander.
while ago, right?
Uh-huh.
Although a little bit ago.
Yeah,
But, and
yeah,
I just,
yeah.
sometimes there's like, I know we're gonna have someone over to interview, and it's like, I want to research a little bit about them. And that part of me is like, there's some things I don't want to because I want to just learn it in the moment.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever. Well, thanks guys for coming on the
Yeah.
Mid Music Podcast. That's great.
Yeah. Chris
So-
is the true West Michigander.
Yeah. I grew up here. We moved. I was born in Indianapolis, but nothing happened there at all because it's Indianapolis. And
I feel like they have the World Championship drumline competitions in Indianapolis. Finals always.
they do.
That's the only thing I can think of from Indianapolis.
They have a really big mall downtown. That's
Lots of corn.
lots of corn. They have a lot of corn, more corn than you could ever ask for. And then we moved up here to Grand Rapids when I was like in my early teens, and I went to Grand Rapids Community College for music school, and I applied to U of M for their like recording program as kind of a joke.
Really?
I didn't think I was gonna get in. A buddy of mine was like, "Let's make our portfolios. Let's apply." And I was like, "Whatever, man. I don't really know if I want to move." And I got this cool associate's degree. I'll probably just like run sound at a bar or something. And they called my bluff. I got in, and so I was like, "Oh God, I guess I'm moving." And so
Yeah.
and then I fell in love with sort of the Ann Arbor music scene, and Kylee, born and raised in like Plymouth Canton area. We ended up connecting like 10 or 12 years ago, and but we come back to Grand Rapids a lot. I got family here still, my sister and brother-in-law, and I love getting to play here whenever I can. It's like coming home.
Awesome. You know, if I had to pick one city in Michigan, if I was an artist or in a band, I think it would either be Ann Arbor or Grand Rapids. I love Ann Arbor. Like, I mean, throughout the years, like the Blind Pig when I was growing up, all the hard rock bands
Yeah.
I liked. It's
Yeah.
like it was the Blind Pig.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, the Blind Pig, Ann Arbor. You
Yeah.
love that? Like, I don't know. I know what you mean. I've been in Ann Arbor several times. I just love it.
That's cool. And you got the arc there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
The ARC, yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly. And they just had, there was a benefit for them the other weekend here in Grand Rapids, right? I take it back. This weekend? Today? There's a benefit for the ARC today.
This
really?
weekend is the Ann Arbor Folk Festival.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I've been talking about it on the Sonic Coast
Yeah.
all week.
Yeah.
That's why I
That
know.
checks out. And we
great.
played their little kickoff event last weekend. They did at the Arc. They had a ton of us, and we were each tasked with playing a song from 1965 because that was when the Arc was begun. And so it was this like really fun compilation of like multiple generations of musician, and it was really cool. And we did The Sound of Silence, which was quite the
Oh,
undertaking.
Did you get to pick the song? Or
Yeah.
did they have like a list of songs to pick from?
both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had to be from that year. And they were sort of like, here are some options.
Yeah.
And we did some Googling. We were like, I think we can make this cool.
Yeah.
And then when we sat down to work on it, it was like, ooh, we chose a doozy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is everybody's sort of like, okay, kids, let's see what you got. And I think we pulled it off.
It was fun. Well, Ryan will probably appreciate this. Like I am not even in the closet. I'm a closet metalhead, and that's kind of how I came up. And the folk music thing is sort of like it's what I do best, but it's not what I listen to when I'm alone and angry. And as we were prepping Sound of Silence, I was like, Kylee, we're not gonna not reference the Disturbed cover a little bit. And I made a joke.
Or the Trolls. You could reference the Trolls on the other hand.
Right. I made a joke about it at the Arc, and it's it's the folk festival.
Yeah.
Kind of old townies crowd. So it's like people mostly 50 plus. And I made a joke about Disturbed before playing it, and they
had no idea.
No, they were laughing their asses
laughed,
off.
yes.
That's awesome.
Like a pleasant surprise. That's awesome.
We were
they
like,
all-
is this going to land? And then a lot of people knew exactly what he
They
was
did.
talking
They
about.
all know it, and they all like love it, and probably don't want to tell anybody.
Oh, that's cool. That is
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, that's awesome. So you talked a little bit about your music here, folk, singer-songwriter, little pop, right? It's a little mix of that.
Yeah.
I guess where do we start? Because you guys both have solo music. You have combined music. Kylee, you want to start a little bit about kind of where your origins
Yeah.
and where you come to now?
Yeah. I've always been. It's interesting when we were driving up, we were listening to like Steve Winwood and like all these things from our like that our dads were
I
listening
can be
to.
metalhead and love
Yes,
Steve
yes.
Winwood still, right?
Yes. But we were
yes.
listening to all this stuff and I was like, "Oh, I'm just hearing now how all of these things played into like why I sing the way I do or because all the stuff that like my dad was listening to growing up, whether it was like 90s country, I will be like, oh, Trisha Yearwood had a huge impact on how I sing. And then I'm listening to like Phil Collins and I'm like, oh, this had a huge impact on why I sing the way I do. So my music has definitely, I play piano and that's the one and only instrument I play. So I write from the piano, but a lot of the time the sound in my head is a more pop sound.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I rely a lot on Chris and on my producer Evan, who I work with a lot, to sort of bring the sound in my head to fruition, you know? So I like that I can do like the show you were at last night. I can do the sort of singer-songwriter thing where it's just me on the keys or it's just Chris and I.
Right.
But I really love to do we call it the big stupid pop songs. I like to do the big full band and get the synth going and get the like all of that stuff. And so it's definitely taken my sound has sort of taken a journey over the years. For a while I was a little more like Sarah Bareilles piano pop girl, but lately it has felt more like I have the team to help me make the sound that I really want to make, which involves much more than just the piano.
Right.
And so, yeah, I've got the like singer-songwriter roots. I really care about the lyrics a lot. That's a thing Chris and I really have in common, is so much of it revolves around the lyric. But sonically, it's been really fun to have a kind of bigger pop sound,
Yeah.
you know?
Get that big full sound. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. It's good to have a good team.
Yeah. Oh, it's necessary.
Yes.
Yes.
When you have your team play live with you, it's specific people that you like, a drummer and maybe a guitar player or bass or whoever else.
Yeah.
And you kind of pick and choose when you want the band to come play with you, right? Or if you're going to be recording music, maybe some songs are just piano and nothing else, but you want your band there too sometimes.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works. You choose your spots where you want to bring it all together.
Yeah, and I think it depends a lot on like the venue and the event.
Fair.
And like when Chris and I are doing the duo thing, it will skew a little more folk or a little more like rock, and then when it's a Kylee show, it can skew a little more synthy or pop.
Yeah.
But it's been really fun to have the option of showing up as a duo, and we love the times when we can pull off the big full band show. But even just Chris has a little OP1 synth, and even just being able to have like a kick beat going can take it sort of like
up a little bit. Just a little notch up.
So we've been sort of experimenting with like, I make Chris play electric guitar a lot, even and doing things like that where we can find that middle ground between, we can't have a 6-piece band, but we can still make this sound a little bigger or a little poppier and things like that. And so it's been really fun to experiment, but it's definitely fun the days when we get to like hire our buddies and do a big rock show, that's always it always feels good.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's really cool because you guys have a lot of versatility then to, like you said, play basically any venue, and you could, be flexible to
Yeah.
make that happen.
Yeah.
Which gives you guys a lot more opportunities to play.
For sure. And yeah, it's always funny when I'm sending like a pitch email and I'm like, you can have everything from like one person to 6 people depending on what you want. And so it's nice to have that flexibility, and we've got a lot of really trustworthy musicians in our circle that like
Very lucky.
we can bring into the mix, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Is there a vice versa thing at all where they might ask you guys to help them out with something as well? Or is it they're like, I'll just call them like hired musicians that are your friends,
Yeah.
but you can hire them whenever? Or do they ask you guys to come on and do stuff?
Yeah, we've got, you want to take that one?
Oh goodness. Well, we have a good crew. Like a couple guys, like the brothers Harrington, Billy and Mike. They would be a cool couple guys to interview.
Yeah. I'm familiar.
Billy's played on, he's a drummer, and then Mike is this just really great guitarist and pedal steel player, and they back up tons of artists around the area. And I usually bring Billy in to play drums for most things I produce, and we've been working together for like 10 or 12 years. And so sometimes they've started doing their own shows where they are the
Curators.
they're the curator, and they sort of like swap frontmen in and out,
Ooh.
and which
Yeah.
is a lot of
It's
fun.
really
That's
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
I love those gigs, like we'll sort of be it's almost like we're the hired gun,
Yeah.
even though you're fronting a song.
Yeah.
We'll do that kind of thing. And actually most of our sidemen also have solo projects.
Yeah.
So like a really great kind of up and comer Nathan Emmett. He's a kind of this really quirky, spacey folk artist. I helped wrap his record up, but he's also a great drummer, so he'll play wedding and rock gigs with us too. So
Cool.
we are always kind of trading places, which
Yeah.
is exactly how you pitched it.
That's
Yeah.
all. Yeah. That's
We
cool.
did-
I love
That's
that.
great.
We did one show a couple years ago. We did this, like, we call it the Ruin Your Valentine's Day show, because
Yeah,
we just
baby.
write a million sad songs. But so the show was like right by Valentine's Day, and we were like, well, obviously we're just gonna play a bunch of breakup songs, but every guy in our band, we had them each do one of their own tunes, because
great.
they all
Have
like write
stuff.
and can
Yeah.
perform their own stuff, and we're like, so and so's just playing drums for us tonight, but he's got his own songs, and so it was really fun to like take the opportunity to, like, as you're saying, to be like, these guys aren't just like sidemen, like they
Yeah.
are all fully capable of doing this, and they're just generous enough to stand behind us sometimes, you know. So it's we're really fortunate.
Heck yeah. Do you guys have like, I don't want you to pick one favorite because there's probably lots. A favorite place to play, whether it's a venue or maybe it is like just outdoors in general. I don't know. What's your favorite type of show to play or venue to play at? Do you have some, couple, any? Like, all of it doesn't matter. Maybe you don't even care.
Yep.
I mean, there's been a lot of highlights. The Arc is sort of home base, which I feel really privileged to get to say that. I mean, we've both gotten to open for artists there and sideman there and play our own shows there, and it's to be like a local Ann Arbor artist who that venue wants to call back is just, it's a gift and a privilege. I hope I never squander that, but that's a big favorite for me. But I love a big show too, like as much of a like folk crooner as I can be. I love playing louder stuff. Like I played this little festival called Rock the District in Ann Arbor before the pandemic, and it was just all like a rock and roll show. It was me and like the Go Rounds and Theo Katzman, and that was just a blast because it was just electric guitar and being loud. And we did a little run with Vienna Tang that I loved. What was that theater in Ohio we played?
Kent Stage.
That was
great.
yeah, because we did the duo thing, but I had the drum machine and electric guitar, and she played Rhodes, and so it was sort of this sort of like the XX or London Grammar type of vibe.
For sure.
But also it was this big theater, so that 808 just
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorites you want to talk about?
I mean, I immediately thought of, we did the Ann Arbor Summer Festival this past summer, and they put us on Rackham, which is like the larger stage. And we did do the full, like, whatever it was, 5 or 6 piece band for that one. And to be able to do like a big stage and a big band,
Like, that's
and
cool.
it felt like, oh, this is a fun direction to go in, because
Yeah.
like we certainly love and play a lot of like listening rooms, but to get a chance to do the bigger thing, it felt really good, and it was a little bit like, okay, I want to mix more of this into the game plan. And so one of my sort of like goals for the year is to play some more rock club shows and get that feeling going.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, so Chris, you talked about you've got this metal background from the listening standpoint, but your sound is completely different. At least I haven't heard the rockier sound, right? But so how did you migrate to that?
It's funny. So Kylee and I were raised on a lot of the same stuff. Like our dads fell in love with each other the moment they met. You know, like so there's lots of Toto, Don Henley, Richard Marx, Genesis, tons of Phil Collins. Like when I was, I think a couple of my first words were Phil Collins. I'm not kidding. Like I'm a 2-year-old in the grocery store, like, hey mom, Phil Collins synthesizer, and people are like, what's wrong with this child? And so like there was like a 80s pop thing, and there was lots of James Taylor and Bonnie Raitt in the car, and I came up in sort of I was like a homeschool kid. I was really lonely, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with like the kind of early aughts, like Tooth and Nail, like Christian punk thing. Yeah,
I know, dude.
You know that.
Of course.
So there was this kind of whole branch of kids like me that needed an outlet, and we needed something that was for us because we weren't really allowed to watch TV or listen to me, or weren't really allowed to like enjoy most stuff because like the 90s and early aughts. There's also like a really culturally paranoid time
Strict,
for for like American Christian kids. There was like just a lot for parents to freak out about, and so Tooth and Nail sort of gave.
I lived exactly what you are described, man.
So
The music taste, growing like I'm in your guys' same stuff.
Yeah.
right, so like we can't watch MTV, but at least I've got Project 86.
Could you watch The Simpsons? It was a long time where I could watch The Simpsons.
Oh, I could for a while, and then it got taken away.
Because they realized. Oh,
Yeah, they got wise.
No, dad was cool. Dad loved The Simpsons. Dad loved rock and roll. He loved he was sort of the troublemaker. And he's a guitar player too.
Okay.
So like that kind of scene, that kind of like grindy, repressed Christian kid music, like kind of gave me something that was for me, because I had to like hide like Linkin Park and Deftones so I wouldn't get in trouble, even though it's not.
for me, I remember Bush. Like I wanted to see Bush in concert at Bay Nando.
no.
And my dad he didn't know anything about it. He never heard of him, so he started just had the lyrics right in the pamphlet. 16 Stone just came out. I'm like, oh no, don't look through the lyrics. It's not like it's not anything that bad. But I mean, I don't know how old I must have been 13 or 14. And he's like, nope. I went anyway. So I was naughty, but dang, I know what you mean.
See, I wish I'd done that. I was too good of a kid. I was like, I don't want to lie.
Yeah.
Right?
But like,
I felt bad for sure.
Did
Sorry,
it anyway.
the guilt didn't win. I joined like a Grand Rapids like hardcore, like melodic hardcore type of band when I was like 17. Because I wanted to play. I just wanted to like, and my dad really enabled it. He's like, how much is in your savings account? Can you afford a Mesa Boogie? Like, let's go.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was a cool dad. So I played like Grand Rapids places like, Skeletones, the Liquid Room, and we played these venues. And the whole time as a like 17, 18-year-old kid, like I'm just a guitar player, and all the men in my family were singers, and I was just pretty scared of singing. Like, I felt embarrassed about it, but I was always writing on like an acoustic guitar. I was listening to like Dashboard and Sarah McLachlan behind closed doors, and like the band was making fun of me for it. And then in the age of MySpace, I started getting like opener slot offerings that were better than what my band was getting. So like I got hit up. This is like 20 years ago, but the Intersection asked me to open for Tony Luca.
Wow.
You know that guy?
Yeah.
Just fantastic singer-songwriter. And I kind of was like, oh no, I have to, again, my bluff was called. I have to figure out how to pull this off in front of people and not in my little basement studio. So being on an acoustic guitar and being melodic and putting lyrics together, that's still always been what comes out of me most naturally. I can I still love like Deftones and Circa Survive and like heavy stuff like therapeutically, but what comes most naturally is like stuff that's like softer and more intricate and more patient. And so I've just kind of always had those two warring factions in my chest, and I just feel most at home like on an acoustic guitar and singing lyrics. So I don't really know why that is, but
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's very interesting. Yeah. How that's a great story of how that comes together, but you still want to tear it up, open it up if you can every once in a while, right?
yeah, there's a buddy of mine, Jason Devaney. He's a really cool like rock frontman. He's pulling his post-hardcore melodic rock band back together, and I think I'm actually going to be like a hired gun guitarist.
That's
in
cool.
April. So
Yeah.
I'm going to get to maybe, I don't know, borrow a bigger amplifier and be stupid.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how did this come together? Is you guys blending together and making this duet at times as well? How did that start?
That evil cackle you just did. I mean, I was trying to think of what year did we meet in 2013?
Yeah.
We met on Treetown Sound, Ann Arbor's 107.1 show that we were both doing like an in-studio thing. And that was when we met, and we were just like fans of each other for like a decade. And I have the email proof that I like was reaching out to him being like, if you need a backup singer, if you need like some chick to be in the background, like let me know. And he never called me up, and I was just always like, he just doesn't think I'm good. He doesn't think I'm capable of this. And exactly, that's my immediate assumption. It's just like, well, it must be because I'm trash. And we would like share bills sometimes, and and then what year was it? 21 when you finally you had a gig, and you were like, all right, do you want to play this show with me? I was like, finally. And so we started gigging together more, and it was mostly me doing Chris shows, like doing harmonies and keys for him. And then at a certain point, like especially once we were together as a couple, we started sort of being like, well, we both have these catalogs, and he definitely leans a little more folk. I lean a little more pop, but the Venn diagram is like, it overlaps a lot. Yeah. And so we were like, we can kind of give people this like 2 for the price of 1 kind of thing, where it's like we can do a little bit of his stuff, a little bit of my stuff. And I think one of the things we noticed really quickly was we have like a cool vocal blend. And so it was like, oh, this gives us a lot to play with. And so, yeah, we'll do these things where it's a little bit of his stuff, a little bit of my stuff. And then we started doing some stuff specifically for like the duo project, where we're like, well, this song will be for that specifically. But I don't know, what do you have to add?
Well, the part of the story she probably won't bring up is that I was just terrified of her. Like the moment I heard, so Kylee actually hit me up. I don't remember the full order of things, but in 2013, I remember hearing her at on the radio, and she, and I swear, in another life, I must have been like a femme, piano balladeer, because I love like Tori Amos.
I was gonna say, you're just the male Tori Amos.
Yeah.
It just clicks for you.
Yeah. And again, I don't know why, like I gravitated toward, post-hardcore and like Tori Amos and Sarah McLachlan,
Yeah.
and that's just what I love.
Tooth and Nail and Lilith Fair.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can mash them up, I would just die happy.
If it speaks to you, it doesn't matter what the sound's like.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah. And so like when when I heard her play at Treetown Sound, it's like just this like laser focused voice, like everything. I'm like, man, that's so cool. Like just great range, killer lyrics, a really great melody. Like the song she played on that radio show, I'll still get stuck in my head just because it was so clearly done. And when I heard her, I was just like, oh man, this is so good. Like I'm in trouble. Like this is so good. And then when she she hit me up and said, "Hey, can I open for you?" I'm like, "You have no business opening for me. This is a joke. Like, I should be opening for you." That's just how I felt. Hearing the music, I was like, yeah, if this was like, you know, one of those 5-act Skeletons bills, I'd be like, I'm not going last. I'm not. And then she offered to, you know, sing and join up, and I was like, I need to earn it. Like, I kind of want to get a little better, and then I'll hit her up. And I just kept delaying it. And I just didn't think it was right. And so in 2017, we shared a bill where she was siding for Jake Lamond, who's now like a guitar player with Michigander. He's his own fantastic solo artist. And she played and sang behind him and just elevated it and made it so cool, just fit right in the pocket. And I was like, okay, this is what she meant. She's not kidding. She'll do this. But I just didn't really believe it. I was like, there's no way you want to be behind like a whispery dudes that sing too slow. There's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then like
little did you know.
Little did I know.
That's my favorite demographic.
Exactly. And then
perfect. Exactly.
So that day in 2021, I asked her to play with me. Like, I was just like, I'm gonna start like hitting up people that scare me. Like, because I really do believe, like, when I'm at my best, I'm like, I want to surround myself with people that are gonna make me want to stand up straighter and work harder, you know, because I don't want to just surround myself with knuckle draggers and so that I can look great. And that sounds mean, but like, I don't want to surround myself with people that, like, you know, I never think it's classy when a musician is like, let me get a bunch of people that I can form so I can shine. It's like, no, I kind of want to like shine by like trying to keep up. And so I hit her up to do that show. It was this it was supposed to be like an outdoor, this is like right in the heart of the COVID panic, and that we were finding ways to do safe shows again. Like, there's like, do you show your Vax card or whatever? You know, we were all trying our best, and it was one of those shows, and it was just such a great show. I was like, man, I got to do this all the time, and then here we are. So I was spoiled rotten, and then I obviously love her songs, so we started doing, like, we would do weird little corporate gigs where it'd be like, hey, let's do some of mine and some of yours and some covers and just get paid money to goof off. And then the duo thing kind of grew from there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So now it makes sense what you said last night about there's two different, I forget how you said it exactly, but essentially you picked her because it challenges you.
Because I'm scared
basically.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to, I can sound like I'm just like categorizing people very coldly, but I know.
Well, and we always say, like, every musician that we work with, like even everybody who plays in our band or whatever you want to call it, are all people that we really respect and are really intimidated by.
Yeah.
And so, like Chris said, it forces you to up your own game. But it also, I don't know, for me at least, it also means a lot when those people like believe in what you are making. Like when they're excited about your songs, you're like, oh, I really respect you and you think what I'm doing is good. And to me, that's different than, like, my mom jokes that, like, she could give me a compliment and I'll be like, yeah, thanks, Mom. And then somebody else will say the exact same thing. And I'm like, do you know what he said? She's like, I've said that to you a million times.
What am I,
like,
chopped
exactly.
liver? I'm your mother.
Like, well, yeah, but you're my mom, so it doesn't count. But when, like, this drummer that I'm terrified of tells me my song is good, like, it must really be good. And so similarly, like, when Chris DuPont says, like, yeah, I think you're good, or yes, I want you to play this gig with me, you're like, okay, then I got to step up my game, and, like, he thinks I'm capable of this. And so I think we feel that way about, like, everybody we work with, but especially
each other,
one another.
Like, I feel that way. I'm like, this is terrifying. Well, also a fun thing about last night is one of our dear friends, Nate Veldhoff, who's like he's sort of the secret weapon in the scene. I hope that he sees this podcast. Like, he co-produced that Long Drive single I put out, and he's just a great singer and producer, and he plays drums, bass, whatever you ask him to play. And he has family in Hudsonville. Ooh, so he and his he and his folks came to that show. And one thing I was thinking, like, Nate has covered my song Forgiveness a few times, only, like, better. And so I was like,
you're like, dang it.
I started with that song. I'm like, oh man, Nate's here. Like, oh dude, because like he like, it's really interesting. Like, some of my guys in the band have like borrowed, like used one of my songs like for like an event. It's been used at some like church services and stuff, and it's usually like by some singer that like grabs a melodic moment that I didn't know was there, or I'm like, oh, and like you hear it back and you're like, I think I'm going to cover your cover.
Yeah.
You're just going to incorporate that into your song.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just an ever-evolving song.
For sure.
People, as you loan it out to people.
Yes, exactly.
But I think it's such a good attitude, kind of rolling back to when you were talking about surrounding yourself with people that are going to kind of bring you up or make you want to work harder, or however that can be described. Like picking like I was a runner. I ran cross country and track in high school and college. I was pretty good, and I had my pick of schools to go to. And if I was going to go around here, I won't even list the ones off, but there was two. I could go to this smaller school and be the top guy my entire career.
Yes.
Or I could go to a school that is literally 100 times better than them and are national champions most years, and I could be maybe in the middle. And it took me 5 seconds to say I would rather be in the middle over here. I'm just going to be better than I am going to be over here. I feel like that was the best decision, and it did. It was good.
Yeah.
So I know like that's a good quality, I think, in when you're looking at stuff like that. Yeah, good job, man.
Good to scare yourself.
It
Way
is.
to go.
Yeah.
I like that scaring. Like I never even say it like that, but I'm gonna start saying like I'm gonna scare myself a little bit.
For sure.
I like that.
Yeah.
Let's grow a little bit.
Yeah.
Growing scaryisms.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, Chris, how did you get involved in recording? Because you're producing, and so how'd you get into that? Were you terrified of that as well?
No, that's hilarious too. That involved Dad also. My dad's a cool dude, and he, I want to say one of my dad's friends gave me like a Fostex or Tascam, like one of the nicer 4-track cassette decks. Like, hey, start layering, and I had it, and I just would hide in my room, and then my dad, got one of those like hard disk recorders, that has a little mixer on it, like the coolest thing in 2005. And he got me an old PC running Windows 95, and it had like a 2 gigabyte hard drive. And at the time you could run there was like a free, very limited version of Pro Tools. And he said, okay, here's what we're gonna do. You like record into the deck, into the hard drive, hard disk recorder mixer thing. Then you're gonna dump all your WAV files into this kind of jerry-rigged Pro Tools setup, and then you're gonna mix in Pro Tools free, and then that's how you're gonna figure this out. I found out later that's actually how like Sufjan Stevens and Damien Rice did their recordings. And it's so wrong. It's the worst way to work. And they all know it. Like, if you do read interviews with Sufjan making Illinois, he's like, this is the dumbest way to make an album. And it took me forever, but I knew how to do it. Yeah. But that was just what I had. I had those tools. And so I would like make my awful demos and stuff. And I was just like, I have to figure out how to do this. I don't really know why, but it seemed interesting, and it seemed like a good way to learn how to play and arrange. And then I went to the recording tech program at GRCC at the community college down the street, and loved every second of it. And then it's just kind of became part of what I do. Finished up at U of M in the performing arts tech program, and so a lot of the journey was figuring out, like, becoming an artist by like the trial and error of writing songs, performing, and recording, and seeing like what works, and learning my voice as a writer and singer and player just by hearing back what worked and what didn't land and what I did and didn't like. And then that grew into doing it for other people, and that's been an up and down journey. But I want to say the past couple of years have made me really believe in producing again, because I did a couple projects, like the Spencer LaJoy record and the Kyle Joe record, and a handful more where something fell into my lap that just was the right fit, where I knew what to do and they trusted me, and I was like, oh, we can do this. This is great. So that's been something I'm kind of falling in love with all over again, because it can be a really tricky line of work. It's a really volatile line of work, and it's a very, it's a very like emotional type of work too.
Why is that?
Because it's when you're working on someone's record, like that is like that is something they have put so much fantasy and thought into. Like they have so much at stake, and those songs have sat with them forever. So if you get their song wrong, if you hear it differently, like you hear it's supposed to do this and they're like, no, that's such a deeply personal thing, and it can just be really tricky, you know? Like if I just feel like when you go in there, it's such a vulnerable thing, and you have so much on the line. And so
and also you have to be this, like, the producer ends up being this unlicensed therapist who needs to, like, talk the artist through, like, your song is good, it's gonna be okay, you have what it takes to make this happen.
I
and
can
like
only imagine.
yeah, and so like the number of sort of like emotional breakdowns that happen in the process of making something, and you're the person who's there like, okay, everything's gonna be all right. And there's a lot involved, and if you don't actually think that, or if you're not actually like on board, it can be hard.
Yeah, like 6 or 7 years ago, like that's kind of how all the sessions were. Like it would just be like, I am not qualified.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta say, and I like just to make sure I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. Like when we worked on, I should clarify, when we work on a Spencer LaJoy record, Spencer is just like, I am here to go to work. Boom, and like they just come in there and they sing it and they play it and they're like, I did it. Great. Let's go. Like it's like full on like
Time to eat.
Time to eat.
Yeah.
Go to work. But every record's different. Some people are like really seasoned and they're like, I'm ready to work. I am here to like get the job done. And then there's others that are just like where it's a much scarier.
You need to pull it out of them a little bit, get them comfortable, or get them cozy, and to be able to be vulnerable and belt it out or play it out, or
exactly. And that's something that I've had to kind of learn how to do is like get,
interesting.
you know, make that person feel like their work is important, but also that like you and your personality like are welcome here. You know what I mean? That's the tone setting can be really tricky, and I'm trying to get better at that, like making everyone who sits in the studio feel like this is gonna be good. We're gonna you can trust me. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm a good mechanic.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and I feel like, and obviously I'm not the producer, I'm not the one in your seat, but I think we've sort of noticed a lot of the projects that Chris like will feel most proud of, or that feel like, oh, this was the right fit, are with musicians who like see him as a collaborator. Like he's the producer, I'm collaborating with you, and I'm trusting you to contribute in the same way that I'm contributing. And I think as a musician, it can be scary to like give your songs to the producer and go, okay, I'm going to let you do what you see fit with this. But a lot of the time, the same way that it's like hire a drummer you trust and let him play it the way he will play it, it's like hire a producer you trust and let them do their job. And a lot of the time, the projects that we go like, oh wow, this turned out great, are usually like the clients who were kind of willing to let you contribute your voice and your ideas and all of that stuff. And and like Spencer is a great example of that, of like, oh, this knocked it out of the park because they were like, yeah, I hired you because I know how what you do, and I'm going to let you do it. You know,
The trust is important.
Yeah,
it
for
is,
sure.
Very important.
Yeah.
But that takes a while for certain people. Like you got to build a relationship, or you gotta show them that you've done something that can make it happen. So.
Very true.
Yeah.
So I have another question. I was thinking about this last night when I was listening to his play. So, because we haven't talked to anybody that's been a couple, and you live together, and you're both musicians.
Yeah.
So how does that work? How does the house work? Do you guys like playing music all the time, or it's like
wish.
today I'm just not in the mood,
Yeah,
Kylie.
yeah,
I'm gonna go
yeah,
do
yeah,
something else.
yeah.
You can sing,
Yeah.
or you guys jump in and play. Like I was just really curious of like how the day in the life.
The only other person we could ask this to, I feel, is like in the valley below.
Yeah, that's true.
Andy
Yes,
and
we
Jeff,
have.
they
Yeah.
live together in the same house, both musicians.
Yeah,
They
you're
are
right.
a band together.
Yep.
But I bet you, like,
We never did ask them
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
we need next time we talk.
There you go. There you go. Add it to the list of
Get the
questions.
tea.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to go?
Sure. I mean, it's funny because, you know, we do like I have a day job. Fortunately, it's still in music, but I do have a day job, and my favorite thing is we have two, a 10 and a 6-year-old boy from Chris's previous marriage, and all 4 of their parents, like the 2 of us and their mom and stepdad, are all musicians.
Whoa.
And they're always like, could you stop? Like, we're in the car and the 6-year-old's in the back. And he was like, are you singing along? Could you not do that? Like, they just are totally uninterested in the fact that we are musicians. So a lot of the time, if we do try to play around the house, there's a child being like, could you not do that?
It's humbling.
It is. But I think that
Too funny.
it certainly requires intention for us to say, we should make music just for fun today. But some of my favorite memories are us being like, hey, let's just sit down after the kids are in bed and like figure out this cover song. Or we do a lot of like, I finished a new song, can I show it to you? And things like that. But I think there have definitely been seasons where we've been like, oh, we're not really playing music together just for fun. We're doing it when it's like we have a gig or we're preparing for something. And I think it's like a priority to both of us to remember, like, let's set aside some time to do this just because it's really special that we can do this together. And it's easy to get caught up in just like, we got the kids to school and we got dinner made and I did the thing and da-da-da, now I'm exhausted. And so it still requires some work to make it a priority, but it is something that when we do make the time for it, we're like, oh, how cool that we get to do this together. Agreed. And do you feel the same?
I do, very much. I mean, it's I really, it's really hard being a parent because you wish that your kids had like great taste. And it's tough because, like, you know, you have to let them be them, which is something that's really hard for me. Like, I want to like share what I like and try to like connect that way. And like our 10-year-old is like, he has this really weird pitch photographic memory, so he wants to like mash up 3 video game songs he heard on the internet because he can hop onto a piano. And he he's great. He doesn't have the same like discipline to like clean things up, but he will just like blunder his way through like 10 melodies. And then you got Felix, the 6-year-old, who just like wants to watch a YouTube tutorial and learn 1 chord at a time. And he listens to music a little more deeply or patiently. And I keep trying to be like, guys, like, when you can both sing, you both have great pitch, like we should all be like in 3-part around the table. And they're like, nah, Dad, don't care. And so I kind of had this dream of what it would be, and maybe someday, like, I'm trying not to push it because I'm sure one of them is gonna get really angry and horny and decide to play guitar. Like one of them, you know what I mean? Like, I'm 13. I don't know if you need to edit that out, but like,
no, it's fine.
Like,
it's good.
13 and be like, I'm so full of piss and vinegar.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Dad, buy me an Epiphone, and I'll be like, I've been waiting.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm trying not to push it. I'm trying to just be really like, when you're ready, you know, this is gonna be here for you. I have a feeling you're gonna have some rage, and you're gonna want to take down capitalism or something, and you're gonna buy a guitar. And so there's that element of it. But in terms of just the two of us, like, my favorite times are like, hey, can we sit at the piano bench? Like, can we sit on the piano bench, show me a song? And those are the great moments for me, because I really do like I've admired Kylie's writing and voice like immensely for like a decade. I'm terrified of it, and so to get your feedback, if Kylee thinks something's good, then I'm like, we're onto something. You know, like, this is going. If a new body work or a new song like gets her excited, I'm like, well, that's the only opinion I really need. And so I really hope that we can spend the next year like spending more time doing that, because, you know, we're lucky to be as busy as we are, but it's sometimes meant that the actual music practice has to be really intentionally chosen that day.
Cool.
You mentioned the coming year, Chris. So what is coming this year? What do you guys got going on individually, or?
Oh, this is fun. So Kylee and I, luckily, we're really fortunate. We just bought a house in Milan, which is this cute little mispronounced town.
How's it spelled then?
Spelled like Milan.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But everyone calls it Milan.
Yeah.
So we're like,
So
all right,
it is
whatever.
Milan?
It is.
It's Milan.
That's Milan. Yeah.
According
But
to
people
everyone
say
who was,
Milan, probably.
No.
I mean, only you can tell someone is an out of towner if they say, "I'm going to Milan." We're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, so where are you from?"
Like, sure you
And-
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
We love it though. We live in this cute little, like, right in town, like on Main Street, like right by like a China One and a really weird hardware store. I love it.
Sweet.
And we just had we got like a studio shed building plopped onto the backyard, and my brother-in-law and I are finishing it and like drywalling and like, you know, building a studio out there. So having that is really exciting, to have like a separate dedicated spot that's not in the house where each of us can take a shift and go be noisy and, you know, make more songs. I think we're probably going to do a bunch more like rock club style Kylee Phillips shows, because like we really need to like get some stuff out of your system. Like we need to do that. And
I also have rage. I just don't listen to as much hardcore as you do.
you don't need to. You just dance it away.
Yeah.
But I think that'll be a big priority. And then both of us are writing a lot and sort of sitting on what our respective next albums will be.
Yeah.
Like I think you probably think the same way. I really think in album cycles still. I still think of like, this is the body of work. This is the like egg I'm sitting on with a lot of ideas. And it's not just one song. It's like, how do they talk to each other? And what am I trying to say in this season of my life at this age that I am? And so I'm sort of writing and developing and trying to turn that collection of songs into something meaningful while also working on other people's stuff, and kind of got a bunch of like mix and production clients I'm going to be wrapping up this year. So it's just going to be a big work year, but all really good things. Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to add to that? What do you want to do this year?
Oh, this year. Yeah, I mean, the past couple years I've cranked out like an EP every year or two if you count the duo EP. And now I'm sitting on like a pile of songs that I think are a full-length album. But getting the especially the funds together to do that well is no small feat. But it's songs that like Chris was saying, it feels like exactly what I want to say right now. It's like the stuff that I'm really excited about and that I feel really strongly about. And so my goal for this year is to just play a lot more, like to get out and play a lot more. I've sort of prioritized recording the past few years. And so I do want to start playing out more. And like Chris said, we're trying to get into a bit more of the like club scene as opposed to just listening room stuff. So that I can do more of like, here is the sound I can do. Like, here's this full band pop sound that we can pull off live. And kind of getting in front of more of those audiences. And then hopefully by the end of the year, having enough money to be able to go back into the studio and do right by this next group of songs. And similarly, like Chris is sitting on a pile of stuff that's like really good and really exciting. And so I think we're both in that. It's like a slingshot. We're both in like the wind up period.
I like that.
And so then it's like, okay, hopefully we can eventually let that go and then head into the next projects. But
Let's aim it just right.
yeah,
Let's aim it
exactly.
just right.
Exactly.
Get some accuracy.
Yes.
Let go.
Yeah.
Let's hit something.
Yeah, let's see how successful we can be.
Exactly.
I do feel like this topic, like we've interviewed people that aren't a band or an artist. Maybe they own a record store. Maybe they
Yeah.
own a recording studio. Maybe they're John Sigovich.
Yeah.
But I feel like every artist or band, somehow this topic, either whether it's we ask, because I think we're interested in what artists think about albums and how they compile the songs and how they go about thinking of creating whatever it is they're going to create. Maybe sometimes, they don't think of, they just write the songs. They pick the songs that fit, they think, and they make an album. Some people are writing intentionally where I'm writing an album in all, there's intentionality a different way. And the big thing is what's like the difference between an EP and an album? Like, or streaming these days.
Yeah.
You guys put out singles. More and more people are putting out singles.
Yeah.
Maybe less EPs and albums, or they build up to that. People have different ideas. So just all those. It's cool when, like, if we never ask the question, I feel like it still comes up.
It always
because it's like it's just a crux of
Yeah.
putting stuff out. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I like hearing your guys' the way of thinking about that.
Yeah.
too.
It's what we're all thinking about.
I still like that you guys are still thinking about the album concept
Yeah.
and keeping that
We're album fans.
yeah.
We're
Yeah.
album fans.
Yeah.
together, that theme, and I think in our culture we've lost a little bit of that
For sure.
Yeah.
because of the singles going out.
Yeah.
And even when you do put together an album, some people it's not really theme based. It's just let's get something out so I can sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We try to definitely like the phrase I always use is like playing the game. And you have to sort of say, how much am I going to play the game? There's some people who go, I will play it 100%. Like whatever the system wants from me, I will do it. And a lot of the time they're really successful. And to me, like we talk about, okay, I'm going to play the game to this point, but then I'm going to do this that I feel strongly about. I don't know if I'm being too obtuse, like if I'm not making any sense.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
But like, the wisdom of like, we'll put out a single every 6 weeks. And I'm like, okay, so maybe if we have an album, I'll do 3 singles 6 weeks apart, but then I'm going to put out a full album.
Yeah.
Like, and you find the way to sort of like, I'm going to find this balance between what is considered like standard practice now and what feels right to me.
For you, yeah.
And finding some balance. And then we joke that we're like, the only thing is if you don't play the game all the way, you can't be bitter when someone else does.
Yeah.
And it benefits them. You have to go like, okay, that was your choice, this is mine. And but yeah, this is like speaking back to the two songwriters living together. I think this is probably the most frequent conversation. We're always having this like this constant conversation of like, how do I stay true to myself and also do this to the best of my ability, but not like give in to all the peer pressure. And like it's this funny battle.
We haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
Like being authentic and doing your thing, but balancing it out with all the other types of things that you could include in that.
Yeah.
I know that's very
Yeah.
vague of what I was
No.
saying, but I get you. That's cool.
One of the funniest things to me was like when you're submitting songs for like playlists and things like that. And there's like little things where people will be like, oh, the intro was too long. It didn't grab my attention quickly enough. And so it's like, okay, I could shorten my introductions so that it'll like grab somebody quicker, or I could just go, no, this was the song I wanted to write. And so like, if it doesn't grab you, it doesn't grab you. And
But who says that? Like long intros are the shit, man. That's I love that.
I
Long
mean,
songs.
I'm right there with you.
Heck yeah.
That's
But-
how like
yeah.
people just don't pay attention long. If, like they aren't grabbed into
Yeah.
the
Off
30
YouTube.
second
Yeah,
deal, like
yeah.
a short form video. You
Yeah.
gotta get the 15 seconds. You better be ahead of me.
Exactly. And so you just sort of pick and choose, like, what concessions am I willing to make and what stuff am I like, I'm not going to change my song for Spotify. Like, how long will Spotify be
Yeah,
around?
right.
Like,
Yeah, it's
and
true.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah. So it's a constant conversation, and it's a constant, like, emotional battle.
Yeah.
It is. And I feel like I'm gonna like maybe compliment flood you, but like
Oh, shucks.
this year I was relieved to see more artists that I really respect on Wrapped Time say, hey, I worked hard, you worked hard, I'm not gonna play this comparison game, I'm not gonna share mine, I'm not gonna do that, but let's all keep making great stuff. Like so many Michigan artists did that. Just decide
That's cool.
that just made that announcement, like it's been a good year, let's not compare one another, keep writing good songs, finish your songs. Like
one of the biggest
you
things
know.
we've learned through the Michigan music community is
Collaboration.
I was gonna say comparison, not competition. Collaboration,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
competition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
Michigan music.
It is. There's a real ethos here. I'm thinking of like Kate and Emily, like from Crane Wives. Like I met them maybe also like 10 or 20 years ago and like a long time ago, and both of them have continued to treat every artist the exact same through like every stage of the Crane Wives career. And like there are a couple who have been kind of like luminaries that are like, I'm not gonna play that game. Like I'm just like, let's talk about writing songs, let's talk about finishing our work, let's like build one another up. And you know what I mean? And I feel like there's so many other artists in Michigan that do that same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really proud of it. But back to complimenting Kylee. I'm sorry, this is long-winded. But this one year, this is two Spotify Wrapped ago, Kylee was like, I'm not sharing my numbers. And I'm like, what if they get really good? And she's like, fuck that. I'm never sharing. Never. I'm like, what if it's like millions? Never. And I was like, that's so punk rock because like, you know, I think that I can get really caught up in like the comparison game because like when I'm putting music out, like the numbers spike and then they die fast because like a lot of singer-songwriters, a lot of like Midwest artists, we're in kind of Spotify jail where a lot of us aren't putting out songs every 6 weeks. We're not like, you know, listening to playlists, trying to be like, how do I get onto this one? Like a lot of us aren't doing that and our numbers show it. And living with you has been interesting because I get kind of this challenge. Like, can you just like write good songs? Like, don't worry about it. Like people are going to your stuff. People are buying tickets. You're getting invited to do cool stuff like this and you can't measure that in like a monthly listener count. And so I'm trying to move into it more of a season of just like creating great stuff, doing my due diligence to promote it as hard as I can. Like let's respect this work enough to put a little bit of time and money into promoting it, but then sit back and be like, I made what I wanted to make, sign off. That's like what I'm trying to like, that's what I believe in my best days, trying to have more best days.
Yeah. Well put.
Yeah, that's great.
And not just because you were complimenting me. It was well put, even outside of that.
Well, it was good to have you guys here today.
Thank you
this
so
was
much.
great.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun for sure.
Absolutely. Do you guys have anything? I didn't look ahead. Do you have anything any shows scheduled in the near future?
Yeah.
We have a couple more. Let's see. I'm doing a random thing with the Michigan Philharmonic next month.
That's interesting.
That's one of the most fun things I get to do is singing with like a full orchestra behind me. It's really cool. But I'm doing that, and then you've got your show in Chelsea.
Oh, I'm gonna do Rumpus Room. Like, it's a really great,
Cool.
Kind of like 60 seats, maybe 100 standing room.
Yeah.
And it's a Jets Pizza also.
Oh.
It's the best. And it's a great sounding like small club. And I'm gonna do like Song Lab. I'm gonna try out all the new stuff I'm terrified of with a few favorites and like one short opener. And I'm just gonna be like, all right, guys, let it rip. We're gonna try the new stuff. I'm gonna kind of like try and plant certain like
Friendly faces
in the audience. And then later, I think we've got some cool things coming up with Spencer and Kyle. We're going to be playing at the Alluvion.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm really excited about that in February.
Yeah, where's that again?
Traverse City.
Traverse City.
Yes, that's right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So the Alluvion in Traverse City. Cool. I want to check. I'm not gonna lie. I like going any reason to go to Traverse City.
I
I'm
know.
like all about it these
Us
days.
too.
We've had some fun going up there.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Benef-
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of cool things in the works. Thank you guys for making time for this. I really
Yes.
love seeing this podcast and these interviews in my feed. And every time I see one, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do that. So thank you so much for fitting us in. This really was like it's on my 2025 bucket list. And
We did not fit you in. We strategically.
we
have a list of people. Like we have some agreements for the show already, and then we have to get them, make sure they know who we are, and still this year get them on.
Yeah.
But you guys, this was a thing. So it's
Thank
all
you.
good.
We're honored. We're honored.
Yeah, we love what you're doing.
Sweet. We love you guys too. We love you. I'm not sure about this guy.
Yeah. There's always one.
Yeah. You're like, I think you're okay.
Well, good stuff. You guys have awesome rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
The rest of your week.
Thank you.
The rest of your year. Your whole
Yeah.
entire
Our whole
2025.
year, yeah.
Let's do it, kids.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Absolutely.
If you like this episode, check out all of our episodes on your favorite streaming platform, or even our website, themittenmusic.com. Or if you want short clips of our episodes, check out our socials. We got Facebook, we have Instagram, we got TikTok, and YouTube. We're all over the social media game. Make sure to check out some live Michigan music or listening on your favorite streaming platform.